Ambassador Zekthara's tentacles writhed nervously as she entered the Grand Council chamber. The crystalline walls hummed with voices of 1,000 species, but today, unusual tension filled the air. "The motion before us," announced Elder Voxmiran, "is the formal challenge issued by the Krell hegemony against human territories." A collective gasp rippled through the assembly. Zekthara's chromatophores flashed alarming crimson and gold. From the Krell delegation, General Gorthok rose on massive hind legs, scaled hide gleaming. "Humans expand too aggressively. Their merchant fleets ignore our territorial claims. They show no respect for established order." Elder Thasandra, the council's oldest member, slowly lifted her ethereal form. Her whisper silenced the entire chamber. "Young General, there is one rule about humanity that has served this galaxy well for 3 centuries. One rule that has kept peace between 10,000 civilizations." The chamber held its breath. Never challenge them. Gorthok's mandibles clicked dismissively. "With respect, Elder, our intelligence shows they have barely 1,000 worlds. We control 10 times that number. Their military uses primitive kinetic weapons and crude fusion drives. And how did your intelligence gather this information? Deep cover operatives studied human space for 50 cycles. They are unimpressive." The Elder's laugh resembled wind through dead leaves. "Did your operatives visit Terra? Of course not. That's their homeworld, heavily defended. We focused on frontier colonies and you studied children playing in the backyard and concluded you understood the parents." The Elder's form shimmered with deep concern. "The Krell petition is denied." Gorthok's hide flushed purple with rage. "Then the hegemony withdraws from this farce. We will settle this directly with the humans." As his delegation stormed out, Elder Thasandra turned to Ambassador Zekthara with ancient, weary eyes that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. "Send a message to Earth immediately," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of prophecy. "Tell them we tried to stop this. Tell them the Krell wouldn't listen." The ambassador's chromatophores shifted to deep blue, the color of mourning among her people. She had studied the classified files, knew the statistics that made even elder council members lose sleep. In 300 years, over 200 species had ignored that simple rule. None had survived the experience intact. Captain Elena Vasquez's morning coffee shattered against the deck as proximity alarms screamed throughout the U.S. Defiant. "Report," she barked. 400 ships dropping out of hyperspace," Lieutenant Morrison called. "Krell hegemony battle formation, dreadnoughts, carriers, the works." The view screen flickered to life, revealing General Gorthok's imposing figure on his warship bridge. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Your species' expansion ends today." Elena stood slowly, her weathered face calm despite impossible odds. 23 years patrolling the frontier had taught her to recognize real threats from alien posturing. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of U.S. Defiant. You're violating the Velthara Accords. Withdraw immediately, or what, human? 1 ship against 400? Gorthok's mandibles clicked in Krell laughter. "Your arrogance ends now." Elena smiled. It wasn't pleasant. "Computer, open channel to Earth Defense Command. Authorization Vasquez Alpha 77. Control, this is Defiant. Code Omega situation at Grid Tango 47. Krell Battle Fleet, 400 ships. Request immediate assistance." A crisp voice responded. "Understood, Defiant. Assistance en route. ETA 12 minutes. Keep them entertained." Gorthok's amusement shifted to confusion. Entertained? 12 minutes? How many ships could you possibly? His tactical officer interrupted. General, new FTL signatures, multiple contacts jumping system-wide. How many? The officer's voice barely whispered. Sensors show this can't be right. Over 3,000 human vessels. Elena's smile widened as space around them filled with human warships, each one smaller than Krell dreadnoughts but moving with predatory grace. They emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, surrounding the Krell fleet like wolves circling startled prey. General, meet the Third Fleet. Elena's voice carried 23 years of frontier experience and absolute confidence in her species' capabilities. Oh, and that's just the advance guard. The Krell tactical display showed human ships positioning themselves with mathematical precision, each vessel covering multiple firing angles while maintaining maximum mobility. What had seemed like certain victory moments before now felt like walking into a carefully prepared trap. Impossible, Gorthok whispered, staring at odds that had shifted from 400 to 1 to nearly 10 to 1 against his forces in mere minutes. Meet the Third Fleet. Elena's voice carried 23 years of frontier experience and absolute confidence in her species' capabilities. Oh, and that's just the advance guard. The Krell tactical display showed human ships positioning themselves with mathematical precision, each vessel covering multiple firing angles while maintaining maximum mobility. What had seemed like certain victory moments before now felt like walking into a carefully prepared trap. Impossible, Gorthok whispered, staring at odds that had shifted from 400 to 1 to nearly 10 to 1 against his forces in mere minutes. Admiral Jackson's voice crackled through every human ship's comm system, conversational and almost bored. Krell vessels? This is Admiral Marcus Jackson, commanding Third Fleet. You've made several tactical errors today, but the biggest was assuming we only had one ship out here. On the Krell flagship, General Gorthok stared at his tactical display in growing horror. 3,000 human ships had arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around his fleet. Each vessel was smaller than his dreadnoughts, but there were so many. This is impossible, our intelligence said. Your intelligence was based on observing our frontier colonies. What you saw were research stations, farming communities, and mining operations. You know what you didn't see? Gorthok remained silent. Our actual military. The human ships began moving in flowing, organic patterns that seemed almost alive, nothing like the rigid formations most galactic militaries favored. Humans developed our military doctrine fighting ourselves for thousands of years. We learned one fundamental truth. Battles aren't won by the strongest or biggest. They're won by whoever adapts fastest. The human formation shifted seamlessly. What had been a sphere became a complex three-dimensional web, each ship positioned for overlapping fields of fire while maintaining maximum mobility. Every ship in my fleet operates independently or as part of the whole. Every captain thinks, not just follows orders. Every crew member, from cook to engineer, is cross-trained in combat operations. Gorthok finally found his voice. What do you want? I want you to go home. Tell your people what you saw here, but understand something your intelligence missed. The Admiral paused, his voice carrying weight that made the veteran Krell general shiver. This isn't our main fleet, General. This isn't even a particularly large patrol group. Earth has 47 fleets like this one. And if you want to see what humans are capable of when we're serious, the Admiral's voice trailed off. Ask the Void Hunters. Oh wait, you can't. They're extinct. The words hung in space like a death sentence, and Gorthok realized his species had just declared war on something far beyond their comprehension. Aboard the Krell Dreadnought, Conquest of Stars, General Gorthak reviewed classified files in his private chambers. His intelligence officers had worked frantically since the encounter, and their discoveries made his scales itch with unease. "Sir," Commander Thekmol entered reluctantly. "The historical analysis you requested. What did you find?" "We may have miscalculated the human threat level." Gorthak's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "The Void Hunters, Admiral Jackson mentioned. We found records." Thekmol's tentacles writhed nervously. "They were a Class 7 civilization, sir. 15,000 systems." "Were?" "Extinct, confirmed extinct 73 years ago." Gorthak felt cold. Class 7 civilizations didn't just disappear. They were galactic superpowers that had conquered dozens of species. What happened? They encountered humanity. The general's massive frame seemed to shrink. "Details, Commander." "The Void Hunters made first contact 80 years ago. They tried harvesting human colonies for slaves. And 6-year war. By the end, every Void Hunter world was dead or abandoned. Their fleets scattered. Complete civilization collapse." Gorthak stared at the tactical display showing human fleet positions. 3,000 ships, an advance guard. Human casualties? Minimal, sir. They fought using automated systems and AI-controlled fleets. Void Hunters barely saw actual human soldiers. Impossible! No species could project that power without— "Sir," Thekmol interrupted, something he'd never done. "We found Earth Defense Command archives. Humans don't just have 47 fleets." "How many?" "Over 300, sir. Plus reserve fleets activated only during major conflicts." "How many reserves?" "Files were corrupted, but lowest estimate, over 2,000. Gorthak stared at his reflection in polished metal. His species had ruled their corner of the galaxy for millennia, conquered dozens of worlds, crushed countless rebellions. And they'd declared war on a species that considered a 300-ship engagement a minor skirmish. "Commander," he said quietly, "open a channel to Admiral Jackson." "Sir, I need another conversation with the humans." The weight of his species' survival pressed down like gravity from a collapsed star. Admiral Jackson's weathered face appeared on the Krell flagship's main screen. Despite commanding overwhelming firepower, he looked more tired than threatening. "General Gorthak, I was wondering when you'd call back." "Admiral, we may have acted hastily." "May have?" Jackson's eyebrow raised. "General, you brought 400 warships to attack a single patrol vessel in human space. That's not hasty, that's suicidal." "We had intelligence that suggested." "Your intelligence was garbage. Let me guess, your spies visited frontier worlds, saw farmers and miners, concluded humans were weak?" Gorthak's silence confirmed the assessment. "Do you know what those farmers were doing before they decided to grow crops?" "No." "Take Dr. Elizabeth Chen on Kepler 442b. Your files list her as agricultural specialist. What they don't mention is 15 years as a combat engineer in the Void Hunter War. She designed the gravity bombs that cracked their fortress worlds." Jackson gestured off-screen, displaying images of pastoral human colonies. "Marcus Webb on New Montana. Ranch foreman, raises cattle, looks harmless. He was the tactical officer who planned the Battle of Broken Stars. Single-handedly outmaneuvered a Void Hunter fleet 3 times your size." Each image showed humans in peaceful pursuits, farming, research, construction, teaching children. Humans don't stay soldiers forever. We fight when necessary, then go home and build something better. But that doesn't mean we forget how to fight. Gorthak found his voice. "How many colonists are former military?" "About 60%. The other 40% are their children, and trust me, they learned everything their parents taught." The general's tactical mind grasped the implications. Every human world was a potential military base populated by veterans and their trained offspring. Admiral, the hegemony withdraws our challenge. We'll return immediately. That's not going to work, General. Gorthak's heart skipped. What do you mean? You violated the Vilthara Accords, invaded human space with a battle fleet, threatened civilians. Jackson's expression hardened. Most importantly, you ignored the Elder's warning. What happens now? Jackson was quiet for a long moment. That depends, General. Are you going to be reasonable? The Krell fleet hung motionless, surrounded by ever-growing human presence. Every few hours, new human ships dropped from hyperspace until the tactical display resembled a constellation of deadly stars. General Gorthak stood before his senior staff in the flagship's war room, his massive frame casting shadows across tactical displays. The weight of his species' survival rested on his shoulders. Options, he said simply. Commander Thekmal gestured at the display. We could fight, sir. Our ships are individually more powerful. With what result? Best case? We destroy perhaps 1,000 human vessels before they overwhelm us. And then? Silence. They knew the answer. Destroy 1,000 human ships, humanity would respond with 10,000. Then 100,000 if necessary. Sir, his intelligence officer spoke, we've analyzed human military responses. They have escalation dominance. Explain. Whatever force level you use, they respond with overwhelming superiority at that level, then move to where they have absolute advantage. Gorthak understood immediately. Fight them in space, they bring more ships. Attack their colonies, they attack our homeworlds. Use mass destruction weapons. They sterilize our entire species, sir. Void Hunters tried antimatter bombardment. Humanity turned every Void Hunter world into lifeless rock within 6 months. Another uncomfortable silence. Sir, Thekmal said quietly, Admiral Jackson requests another meeting. He has a proposal. The view screen revealed Admiral Jackson with an elderly human woman in civilian clothes, silver hair but sharp eyes. General, meet Dr. Margaret Holloway, our chief xeno-diplomat. Dr. Holloway stepped forward. General Gorthak, I've reviewed your species' history. The Krell hegemony has existed over 2 millennia. You've built remarkable civilization. Thank you, Gorthak replied cautiously. It would be shame to see it end today. The blunt statement hit like physical blow. However, we understand your aggression stems from fear that human expansion threatens your territory. Withdraw your fleet, formally apologize, respect existing borders. In exchange, we'll establish joint Human-Krell Commission for trade and cultural exchange. And if we refuse? Dr. Holloway's expression didn't change. Then, in 72 hours, there won't be a Krell hegemony to refuse anything. I accept your terms. 6 months later, General Gorthak stood in the observation deck of the newly constructed Krell Human Trade Station orbiting Meridian Prime. The station, representing peaceful cooperation, was larger and more advanced than any warship in the Krell fleet. General Admiral Jackson approached, dressed in civilian clothes rather than military uniform. Admiral, I heard you were retiring. Already did. Figured it was time to let someone else handle the galaxy's problems. They watched human and Krell ships docking side by side at the massive station. I owe you an apology, Gorthak said finally. For what? For underestimating your species. For nearly destroying mine through ignorance. Jackson chuckled. General, you're not the first, won't be the last. We underestimated ourselves for most of our history. What do you mean? For thousands of years, humans thought we were weak because we fought each other constantly. We didn't realize we were becoming the galaxy's most militarily advanced species through constant warfare. Gorthak's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The Federation really has that rule about not challenging humanity? Oh yes, past 300 years ago, after the hegemony of suns tested our resolve. Didn't end well for them either. How many species have made that mistake? Jackson was quiet. Honestly, too many. We keep hoping the galaxy will learn to just leave us alone. Let us explore and build without someone deciding we need conquering. And yet, you showed mercy to my people. General, do you know what humans want more than anything? Gorthak considered seriously. Based on 6 months observing human traders, diplomats, scientists, and engineers working alongside his people, he understood. To not be alone? Jackson smiled. Exactly. We don't want to rule the galaxy, we want to be part of it. Every species we've had to deal with was a potential friend we lost to fear and aggression. Your species terrifies the galaxy. I know, and that terrifies us. What do you mean? We're most afraid of becoming the monsters the galaxy thinks we are. Every time we destroy a civilization, we lose part of ourselves. As human and Krell children played together in the station's recreational area, Gorthak realized humanity hadn't just spared his civilization, they had welcomed it into something larger. I think I understand why the elders made that rule. And why we hope someday we won't need it? Yes, Gorthak replied, watching the children. Yes, I do.